I'm a scholar who studies leadership. I've studied it now since, gosh, the late 80s, really, or maybe even before, depending on how you count it. And a few years ago, I had the opportunity to go back and review all the theories and models of leadership. I was writing a textbook. I don't advise it. It wasn't fun. I was not happy at work when I was writing that thing. Actually, it was kind of interesting. But I went back and I reread all these theories of leadership. A lot of them emerged out of the middle of the last century or earlier, and they're based on notions of an industrial era model in our organizations. They're based on studies of undergraduates in 1962, right? They are based on models that don't fit the world we live in. So we've been out there trying to figure out what does work, what does make a difference. And one of the things I've become very, very aware of over the years is it's not that there are good people and bad people, good managers and bad managers. There are both, but that's not the real issue. Most people get up every day and want to make a difference when they go to work. Whether they're managing or sweeping the floors, we want to make a difference. Most people do not get up in the morning, rubbing their hands in glee, thinking about who they're going to hurt at work. Although I worked for that guy. I seriously did. I bet some of you have too. They exist. Most people want to lead well. Most people want to manage well. Most people want good relationships at work. And yet, when we count them up, as we do in academia, even in my consulting work, we don't find anywhere near as many good leaders as we think should be out there. Given that they're smart people, we're all smart people, we kind of know what to do, so what's going wrong? So I started looking into that. And one of the things I realized is that we operate in our organizations and in our minds, frankly, on a few myths of what it means to lead and manage at work. One of these myths is that if you're smart, that's good enough. Smart is good enough. Smart is baseline in this world that we live in. Smart is baseline. That gets you in the door. It does not differentiate you when it comes to management and leadership. What does differentiate you is something we call emotional intelligence. There's a lot of research behind it. You can go read on that, but suffice it to say that emotional intelligence is a set of competencies, abilities, self-awareness, self-management, achievement orientation, adaptability. All of those competencies are learnable, and those are the competencies that make a difference when it comes to managing and leading. The research now is really pretty much irrefutable on this. If we look at IQ and EQ, if you want to break it down like that, a little bit oversimplified, but if you want to, that's fine. IQ gets you in the door. Emotional intelligence differentiates you when it comes to managing and leading in formal roles, but also in informal roles, which increasingly it is a truism that we all need to lead at work. So emotional intelligence is the single most important thing that you can do if you want to get better at work, whether you work on a team or lead a large division or even an organization. And I've consulted to all of the above. And if you move that dial on your ability to understand yourself, understand how you engage with other people, empathize with people, really know what drives them, not only will you be more effective, but so will they. So why is this? Well, I feel so lucky because in my field, which is a combination of psychology, it's an interdisciplinary psychology, a little bit of anthropology, management science, et cetera, we've now also started folding in neuroscience into the study of management. We're now understanding more and more about the interaction of feelings, cognition, and behavior in our human minds and in the demonstration of our thoughts through our behaviors. What we know is that we feel before we think, nanoseconds, mind you, but our first reaction to what's going on is an emotional reaction and or a kind of a looking back into emotional memories. Gut reactions, sometimes people call those things. And then we start thinking. Unfortunately, it often goes the other way for many, many people. It should be, it would feel, think, act. Oftentimes it's just feel, act, and that thinking part gets lost, which is what we're trying to help people understand as they learn emotional intelligence. So related to that, the second myth that we operate on is this notion that feelings don't belong in the workplace. Leave them at the door. Leave it all at home. Well, maybe that's a good idea. Maybe it's a nice idea. I don't know. I don't happen to agree with it, but what I do know is that it's not possible. We are feeling beings as much as we are thinking beings, and we bring our feelings with us. And why does this matter? It matters because when we feel good, and this is where I'm sort of edging into this work on happiness, when we are excited, enthusiastic, committed, when we feel good about what we're doing, when we feel like what we're doing is meaningful and we're committed to contributing to something bigger than ourselves, and when our relationships are positive, when we feel that way, our brains work better. And the flip side is also true. When we are frustrated, cynical, angry, scared, terrified of that horrible manager, beaten down over time, our brains simply don't process information. We don't even take in information the way we could if we were in a more positive state of mind. And that translates into bad decisions, bad behavior, bad judgment, you name it. So it really matters. We've got to pay attention to how we feel in the workplace. It really, truly is an important part of what we do. So myth number three. If you choose to take on the mantle of leadership in formal roles, or if you're one of those people who don the mantle because you're the kind of person people come to, look to, want to talk to about their problems, about their issues, about challenges, or about their careers, if you're one of those people who wears that cloak, chances are you're pretty strong, you're pretty resilient, you're naturally hardy, you're naturally strong and resilient. It's part of your makeup, yeah? But there's this notion that leaders should be able to take anything the world dishes out. No complaints, just get stronger. No griping and groaning, just do more. It doesn't work that way. With the backdrop of the world that I just described, a changing world that we don't understand, we love it, we hate it, we don't understand it, it's change. And we may love change, but with the backdrop of constant change and the pressures of our organizations, nobody can take the constant pressures that come along with power, stress, and leadership. We've got to learn how to take care of ourselves, too. So all of this adds up to the notion that emotional intelligence is common sense, but it's not common practice. Throw in a lot of change, organizations that are constantly pressuring us to do more with less in our always-on world, and we've got a problem.